Welcome to our continuing coverage here at HP Discover. I'm Andy McCaskey from SDR News, and I'm joined by Joe Sahagian from Microsoft, and we're going to be talking about Windows 8.1. A lot of people, of course, have seen this from a consumer standpoint. Many enterprises still working on Windows 7. And one of the concerns is how do you move to have the advantage of mobility in a device that's optimized for mobility, but at the same time preserve its business utility. And so take it off here. We've got a very common device that you've probably seen in various big box stores and so forth, but this is a business version, and Joe can explain why.
Sure. This is the ElitePad 1000 from HP. It's running Windows 8.1 Professional. And your question really gets to the point of, on a device like this, Windows 8 is very easy to use. It's a normal experience for people. You can swipe right and left. There's an app model involved here. There's consumer applications like Netflix and Hulu Plus, but it also has applications like Microsoft Office where we have Word, Excel, Outlook, PowerPoint. So you get kind of the best of both worlds. And because it is a touch device, it's an experience that's easy to use.
Maybe if we can switch over to the close-up camera there on the device. Okay, now you can go ahead and of course I'm noticing the icons updating as we go along. That's one of the features of the interface.
Yep, you can have a setting where you set your apps to always update, so you don't, as updates come in, you don't have to go in and manually say I would like to update this app, and this app. It'll automatically go through and do that for you.
Right.
So as we talked about, this experience is a very common experience for people. They understand how to use that. The real question, though, is, like you brought up in the beginning, is in business, lots of people have laptops and other devices where they're accustomed to using Windows 7. So with our latest update, Windows 8.1 update, we made the experience on a notebook or a desktop device even easier to use. And we've added some things in there that also make it much easier to use with a mouse.
Okay. Well,
so whether you have touch,
let's take a look here,
or a mouse, you get a very good experience. So you're seeing the same experience that we see on the tablet.
Right.
Yet I'm using a 15-inch notebook here.
Okay.
You see the same app ecosystem, right? You see the same modern UI. You see the same ability to swipe in, swipe out, get to a desktop.
So all of this interaction that people are seeing now is through the touch screen on the EliteBook notebook computer itself.
That's correct.
Yes.
But at the same time, now I'm going to move to a mouse mode. As we move away from touching the screen, which we're all getting accustomed to do through either tablets or our phones, now we get into a mode where we're using a keyboard and mouse. The experience is the same. We've created a better experience with Windows 8.1. So one great example is people toggle between this modern user interface and the desktop interface. As you can see, our background stayed the same. So as we go into the modern UI, the background looks the same as going to the desktop. So we made the experience between the two more seamless. What I'm actually doing to go between those two is something that not a lot of people realize, is that almost every laptop has a Windows key. And
yes,
just by
I've often wondered what that was for.
Well, now you know. So by hitting that Windows key, it toggles you between modern apps and desktop apps. One of the other things we did is, when we're in a modern app, people had the question of, how do I close an app? So what I just did was I clicked on and opened up Outlook. When we're touching, and I'll touch with my finger, how you do it on a tablet or a touch device like this is, you grab it from the top and swipe down and it closes. Well, for people who are using a mouse and a keyboard, it's not always the most easiest thing to do.
Right.
Or sometimes if you dock a device like this and you have it up on a bigger monitor, a 23 or 24-inch monitor that might not have touch capability, you can't go up there and try to touch something that isn't touchable.
And I think that's a very common configuration for knowledge workers, to have either a second screen or a much larger display that they use for their primary screen.
Absolutely. So what we did was, so I'll open up Mail again, I touched it at that point, is I bring my mouse up into the top, where people usually have seen the X out and the close button.
To kill it.
And by bringing my mouse up to the top of the screen, it exposes the close button, and I'm able to close it back into the modern user interface.
If you were set up on the traditional desktop and you had documents on the desktop, what happens when you switch to the modern interface? Do you still see those documents as icons?
So you don't see those documents as icons, but you can save applications here, and you can save documents here. So let's use Word, for example. So you write something in Word, right? I can save the application Word here, which if we move over to the right here, you see in the bottom right-hand side of the Office where my mouse is. I can also open a Word document, and we'll call it Andy's Interview. I could go in and I could save that, and you'd see another icon here that says Andy's Interview.
So it could be either an application or a document that's attached to the application.
One other great feature that we added with the mouse now is people are commonly use right-clicking, right?
Yes, absolutely.
So when you're on an application now, you can right-click and you get a menu of things to do. I can unpin this from the modern interface. I can pin it to the taskbar. I can uninstall it. I can run as an administrator. I can resize the application. So I'm going to resize the application now. You see it gives me a small and medium option. So now it moves it into small. The other thing I can do by right-clicking again, I can pin it to the taskbar. Now this is where I think a lot of people getting into the familiarity of using Windows on a desktop mode. So I'm hitting the Windows key again to get back to the desktop mode. Now on the bottom right-hand side where your mouse is, you can see I've got the Word application pinned to my taskbar. And I think that all of us probably have a set of 4 or 5 common applications that we use every day, whether it's email, PowerPoint, web pages.
So the way that you're set up in the demo here, you have the laptop, the EliteBook laptop system. But if you had a laptop that had a detachable tablet from that, does the information remain the same once you detach it?
Yes. So in a detachable scenario, we'll call it the brains of the computer still exist in the tablet part. So if this was a detachable computer, you can see that all of the CPU and a battery and memory and hard drive would all be here. And in not all detachable situations, but in a lot of situations, detachables give you a keyboard and also some additional battery life. So if you're using it in a tablet mode for a few hours and your battery starts to run down, the minute you plug it back into that dock or keyboard, if you want to call it, you'll instantly be charging again, whether you're plugged in or not.
So what happens if I have created a document while I'm in the desktop mode, and then pull it out and I'm in the modern interface mode? Can I still how do I get to that document?
There's no difference to how you get to the document. So you can either open up Word and go into like a file explorer zone, so you save it in Andy's documents. You can click on it right there through the Word application. Lots of people now are starting to save their documents to the cloud. Microsoft has a wonderful product called OneDrive. We save our products. So I'm going to go into the modern interface.
Okay, you might show how you swiped from the right to bring that. Can you suppress that? There you go. That's what I can
swipe from the right. I can hit the start menu. That would bring me into the modern UI. If I wanted to open up Word directly, I can just start typing on this screen, without even there, and Word opens up. Or, as we talked about, once I activate Office.
Activate the license, yes.
Or I could just go in here using my hand or a mouse, swipe over, find Word, and I'm going to make it larger again because we had made it smaller earlier. I could just click on Word from there and it will open as well.
Excellent.
Now if we want to look at it from a different perspective and say, rather than opening it from Word, going into a file location, opening the file that way, if we wanted to go into, say, OneDrive where I have some documents saved, I can go right to OneDrive, just open the file from there as well. It'll open Word.
It'll download it and then allow you to go forward.
Yep, so I'll do an example of that now.
I could see as you're pulling that down, I could really see the flexibility that the system enables.
And it gives people that experience, that, let's be honest, for a lot of people, it's the same experience they've used for 10, 12, 13 years.
Absolutely.
And people sometimes people don't like to change. Now,
no, I've never heard of that.
so I've got 3 daughters who are all computer literate, 9, 7, and 3,
Right.
and we've got an HP all-in-one in our kitchen.
Yes,
right?
yes.
And my 9 and 7-year-old, they're whipping around and they can get to anywhere in the modern UI, the desktop, play games, write papers, do anything they want to do, get to websites for their school. Well, my 3-year-old just sits and stares at them. They don't include her in anything, right? But the minute they walk away, she wheels over a chair, stands on the chair, and the amazing thing about it is she'll just start swiping, and she's unafraid of a new experience. And within no time, she's got it working.
Right, right.
Another great example is, back, I don't know how many years ago, 7 years ago or so, right? Apple released an iPhone. At that time, touch was revolutionary on a phone, right? You had your home screen, you saw some icons, but did we know that there were icons to the right? None of us knew.
Right.
Someone had to swipe to the right to say, I've got some more things there, right? Or I need to click on something. It's the same experience here. I think once people use Windows 8 for even 5 or 10 minutes, that experience becomes much easier for them to use.
Well, thanks very much for the demo here and the illustration of the flexibility back and forth between the modern UI and a maybe more traditional system that might appeal to some of us. Where can people learn more about Windows 8.1 and where do you send people?
Sure, if you want to learn some more about Windows 8.1, you can go visit Microsoft.com. And if you're interested in any of the ElitePad products that we had showed earlier, either the ElitePad tablet or the ElitePad Ultrabook, you can go to HP.com and look at their products.
Excellent. Joe, thanks. It's been a real pleasure.
Thank you, Andy.
Thank you.
I appreciate it.
Thanks to you folks for joining us here as well. We have more coverage coming up from HP Discover in Las Vegas.
Live streaming of SDR news coverage at HP Discover has been made possible by Intel Corporation. Check out Intel OpenPort IT, where you can connect with your peers at Intel on industry topics, best practices, strategies, and more. And by Microsoft, where HP and Microsoft are working together, combining their respective strengths to deliver innovative technologies to help advance your business.